darf ich zunächst eine Frage stellen.
First of all, may I ask a question? Who of you does not understand English? Who of you does not understand German? You're all bilingual, no? So a few more, so...
Excuse my German accent, then I'll talk in a way that everyone understands and the interpreters can have a break. Annette, thank you for introducing me. When Medium Magazine was started in the mid-80s, not in a garage, but in a basement in Stuttgart, the number of products of the Volkswagen Group were 3 or 2. It was the Beetle, it was the Bulli, and I guess there was a Variant. And what started thereafter was segmentation. Now you can not possibly list, even if you are a salesperson of Volkswagen, you can list the products and variations they have. And this more or less is what many brands do, and so does Tagesspiegel. You highlighted one of the aspects that we are dealing with, which is the low Haushaltsabdeckung, the low distribution or coverage of households. It may be a particular Berlin problem, but actually it's a big city problem in general. My understanding is in Hamburg, in Cologne, in Munich, in Berlin, these are the cities in Germany that have 1 million or more inhabitants. In the inner districts, the circulation, the coverage of households is in no case above 20%, if I'm right. Even in Hamburg with Hamburger Abendblatt and its very strong position. There are Funke people around, am I right? I learned it from a Funke editor, but I may be right. So why is this? And then we already come to segmentation. If you go one step north of Hamburg, you are in the German state of Schleswig-Holstein. They have less inhabitants in the whole state than Berlin has citizens, but they do have some 40, if I'm right, local editions. So in Husum, and you don't have to remember these names, but in Husum, in Rendsburg, in Heide, in Kiel has a couple of editions, so the newspapers are close. Whenever I ask people in Berlin, do you know how many local editions are published in Berlin, even insiders can't give an answer. And to my understanding, the proper answer is 0. There's only one edition for 3.5 or so million people, so we are distant from everyone. That's very odd. And one of the great reasons, and now I'm ending, or I'm summing up or coming up with 2 core words that are shaping our strategy. So when you look at the high coverage of households in rural areas where you have small editions that are close to the people, then you look to the big cities that have a low household coverage, then one of the answers just may be proximity, being close to them. And now there comes the term transaction cost, prohibited big city newspapers to have as many versions as rural papers have. So, of course, digitalization has come to Berlin as well. It took some time, but now it's there. And the transaction cost of a digitalized publication is more or less 0. This is what we did. We published 12, there are 12 districts. We published 12 newsletters, very simple newsletters. We are pretty low tech still. We are working on that, but this is why you don't see any charts, low tech. So we took the most simple, most available technology newspapers, newsletters, and started to distribute once a week for every Berlin district a newsletter. Now we have 150,000 subscribers. It's free, so it can't be compared to a print newspaper subscription that is pretty expensive. However, this is an incredible source for subscription marketing. And this is one of the things we did. We segmented, and we did so by asking very simple questions. If in Schleswig-Holstein there are some 40 editions, why don't we have 0 in Berlin? Why don't we start with the districts? Each and every district of Berlin is larger than Heidelberg, actually twice as big as Heidelberg. So if that can afford a newspaper, we should be able to have a newsletter. This is the first segmentation we did, and as I indicated, two words are driving our strategy. They're very simple. You have heard them many, many times, I'm sure, probably today as well. The first is transaction cost and the other is exclusivity. Can we bring down the transaction cost? Can we bring up the exclusivity? If there is no news organization reporting on Spandau or Reinickendorf or other districts, then it's exclusive, although it may be not what you would expect from an investigative journalism team. Of course it's not, but it's pretty simple local news journalism that we do, and by that we created a unique set of people that are about to subscribe or are willing to get in touch with our brand. And I don't have to tell that if you do once a week a newsletter on a district with 300,000 people or so, there is enough of news and you do not need a big army to cover that. So it was a low-cost approach, little transaction cost on that particular field. The other thing we did when we started at, so to say, at the base, at the districts, and then we went up to the other end. And a general challenge that we face is, why do we separate B2C and B2B? Why do we separate the consumer and the business sector? Many of our readers, Tagesspiegel is the upmarket daily paper, so maybe all of our readers are both. They are a patient and a doctor. They are a scientist and they are involved in culture. And so we identified 5 major cities in Berlin, the size of a city, with professionals that even have a national stature, that have a visibility and impact that is beyond just the city of Berlin. So the first, of course, is politics and administration. I'll come to that in a second. Then another group that is even the largest, you may be surprised, is the field of the health sector. The most recent figures I heard are there are over 300,000 people working in the health sector in Berlin. Not all of them may subscribe a newspaper. Actually, not all of them speak German, but some of the best doctors don't. But quite a portion of these 300,000 are a decent target group for us. Next is the cultural sector, the digitalization sector. Then we have, as I indicated, politics and administration and science. There are some 200,000 students alone, plus professors, plus the whole staff of the universities, big groups. And then what we did is we focused group by group and strengthened our content. Of course, Tagesspiegel is in the very, very difficult economic situation as all other papers. So we could not say we add and add and add. We had to make, we had to focus. And so we did say, it's sad, it's particularly sad when you are heavy in sports, when you have an interest in that, like myself. We do say we focus on science, we focus on digital, we focus on, as a topic, we focus on medicine, but we will do not invest in sports and other significant fields because we can't spend the dollar twice or the euro. So what I'll show you first is a small clip of a conference. And I'm sorry for this conference video, it's a minute or so, for being German, but there's one line in that I really like. I translate it first so you get it. The president of the Association of Doctors in Berlin says, "The only thing I do not like about this conference that we did not come up with the idea." Please show the video.
Heute sprechen wir. Today we're talking about the best head physicians, bringing the best together. That's really an excellent idea. It's so extremely important. I'm sorry that the Tagesspiegel had the idea to organize this. We should have done it before.
A specialized doctor as a
einen
clinic,
konstruktiven Austausch, bei dem alle Sichtweisen
concept.
Berücksichtigung finden.
Das soll natürlich dazu dienen, individuell
Just doctors talking, you got the point. Now, then we went on, when we came to the field of government and administration and politics, we went into micro-segmentation. So it's not just politics, but it's energy politics or digital politics or traffic, mobility, transportation politics. We launched dailies, heavily inspired by Washington models. And we even went a step further and went into global conferences. This is a bit odd, or you may say a bit größenwahnsinnig, however that translates into English, Austrian maybe. So we went a bit größenwahnsinnig, and there was a window open for us 2 years ago when Germany presided the G20. We identified, actually more or less by accident, by a conversation with the German Sherpa who was running the G20 summit. We asked him, is there anything in the world that adds continuity to the G20 process? And he said, no. And I said, why? And he said, well, actually everyone wants to have this continuity except 20 people. These 20 people happen to be the heads of state and government of these 20 countries. So there will not be another OECD or another United Nations or another European Commission. They do not want a bureaucracy. So we felt this could be our little window where little Tagesspiegel goes through. We aligned with the professor, an American, then actually raised and born in Vienna, Dennis Snower. He was the president of the Institute for the World Economy in Kiel. And this Dennis Snower we aligned with, saying, well, why, you being the head of the think tank summit, why don't we try to have a joint conference for the G20 advisors? We did it 2017 first in the German presidency, and then we did it again last year and again this year. And from the last year, you get a little video, please. It's the Global Solutions Summit video. It's English, so no explanations.
The G20 needs to support a recoupling of economic and social prosperity.
The international liberal order and global multilateral system are currently challenged in ways that I think few of us could have imagined.
Today, our food and agriculture system are at a very critical stage.
This is the most impressive think tank gathering that I have seen.
An example of collaboration at the intellectual level.
Business, by and large, has received the message.
World requires clarity of what we're trying to do as a world.
Our job is to think, to complain, and to make our voices heard.
We need these kind of settings to tell us and to push us for more ambitious.
Exactly what we need when we prepare the groundwork for the G20.
I don't know of any such conference anywhere in the world.
We need to recognize the scale and urgency of the transformation that is needed.
We need to think more clearly about leadership and how you connect policy wonk ideas to politics so that they have political valence and political possibility within our countries.
Business models must change to prioritize more than primarily financial and primarily short-term goals.
And if we continue to do that, and if we really take what is being said there and operationalize it, meaning do it, I think we will have a better world than we have today.
The wisdom of the best brains of the world.
so many like-minded, brilliant people, old and young.
Having experience and wisdom mixed with what we know is new and upcoming, having that all together, that's amazing.
So we hope the young global changers can stay connected and approve.
The Solution Summit has been fantastic.
The policymakers will have to seize on this opportunity to take the advice.
I think it's a great network that we created.
This is actually one of the unique conferences I've ever been to.
The concept. The concept is to try to get the content, so to say, from these thinkers, from these think tanks, from these people, bring it to a conference, but bring it to the paper as well. And thereby we try to leverage Tagesspiegel even more to be the newspaper you have to read if you are in politics, and I don't repeat science, medicine, digital or culture, in the capital and beyond. Now, one problem haunted us actually for years, and it's getting worse and worse. A large portion, maybe the largest of our readers, are civil servants, Beamte, member of the public service. And this is in Berlin so incredibly bad, you can't believe it. Just think of our airport and compare to the Vienna airport, then you have the difference. You have a problem, we have a big problem. So there is a situation that is really, really strange. Every morning, a majority of our readership, because we have to criticize what they do professionally, opens the newspaper for breakfast and gets a fist in their face, you botched it again. Now, today, page 3, there is a 1-year lawsuit between the union of a city hall, of a district city hall, and the Lord Mayor of that district. 1 year about a room. It's outrageous. So every day we are addressing a core group of our readers saying you did bad. Very, very stupid strategy to alienate your core audience day by day, you know. Even German civil servants may have a limit what they can take. I'm not sure, but we didn't want to bring it too far to the point. And this is the way we work. I can explain to you. But just by accident, I ran into an Englishman. Actually, his father was a writer at Berliner Tagblatt, and he was a figure together with Walter Benjamin. So they're exiled from Germany in the 30s, but this son, Charles Landry, was born in London, returned to Berlin as an intellectual. I got to know him, and he introduced me to a wonderful, really wonderful term, which is creative bureaucracy. We did not translate that, so we used the term creative bureaucracy and added just one word, festival. And all of a sudden, we had a format, you may call it constructive journalism, we could call it constructive bureaucracy, or constructive formats of a newspaper for a target group. So we launched a festival, by the way, where the Austrian and the Vienna government are role models because of their efficiency and the level of digitalization. So we launched a conference called the Creative Bureaucracy Festival. And now let me explain, before I show to you another short documentation, how the resources and the setting of this particular place are working to our advantage. If you think of creative bureaucracy, you may think which is the most valuable, fitting, speaking place in Berlin to host this. And then you may say, among all the disasters that German bureaucracy has created, there is one element that is really recognized globally. It's the Prussian reforms, with among them the creation of the modern university. So we went to the president of the Humboldt-Universität, and I gave her a call. We would like to have a creative bureaucracy festival, Wilhelm von Humboldt. You know, no problem, you can have the building. So I won't explain all the details you see in the movie, but this is how we link B2C and B2B, the consumer reader and the professional reader. They are more or less one. And here you can see how we deal with that constructively in a city with a rotten bureaucracy.
When I heard about the Creative Bureaucracy Festival, I had two thoughts. One was, why didn't we think of this sooner? And two was, how do I get there?
Sounds like a paradox. People say, what? Creative bureaucracy? How? Where? When?
We need a very good dose of both resiliency as well as creativity and an imagination.
Die Gesellschaft verändert sich, die Politik verändert sich und für die Bürger muss sich auch etwas verändern, und zwar durch kreative Umsetzung.
Die ganze Welt wandelt sich, wenn die Bürokratie sich nicht mit...
The whole world is changing. If bureaucracy is not changing, it will alienate itself from real life.
Is the foundation of a good society and of a democratic society.
Dafür gibt es keine Talente, keine Kapazitäten.
There's a lack of talents, capacities and resources.
Wir haben
We have 140 different job profiles in public administration and in public companies. Every year we hire 7,000 people.
So we actually understood that we were actually closing our city down for 9 days.
Important to create events like these where we see how other cities are solving the same issues that we are struggling with.
So I think it was very well worth my time, and I was very happy to be here.
Just to give you a detail, we are making wanted ads income, not by printing wanted ads, but by bringing employers and people seeking a job together in a conference like that one. So it is a living newspaper, more or less, and reflects the segmentation we do. My time is over. Annette was always very strict to me, and that has continued since 1985. Annette, have it.